Hey, I just wanted to make a quick video on how to remove and install a Kriss Vector fire control group or trigger in case you want to swap one out. I've got my Kriss Vector SBR here that we're going to be working on. And you're going to need some Allen keys and a punch tool at a minimum to get this going. So of course, safety first. We got our chamber flag in here, so we know the chamber's empty. Let's go ahead and disassemble this to how you normally would if you were cleaning it, and then we'll start from there. So let's go ahead and fast forward to that part. Okay, now that we've got it separated to just the upper, let's see what we're working with here. We've got the ejection port, which is held in by these. And then you've got the trigger inside here, which is held in by screws that come from underneath this rail. So the first step, you could either take off the ejection port cover first or the rail. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the rail first. You just need a punch tool. So I'm going to flip it over to the other side here. You can see right here we've got the hole there where the punch goes in, or the roll pin goes in. And a couple of light taps on my matted surface here should get that pin right out. You should be able to start to come out. Let's see, right there. Now we've got our roll pin out. The rail should just slide off. You can see here that it's on a little track here, so we're just going to slide it off. Straightforward. Like so, I'm just pushing it gently, and it slides right off. Here we go. Now our rail's off. You can see at the top here, we've got 3 screws. These are the screws holding in the fire control group. Even if we take these off, it can't come out yet because the ejection port is in the way. So let's go ahead and remove the ejection port cover here. I think I need a different size. Is this the right size? Nope, slightly smaller. So the next step is going to be to go ahead and remove the ejection port cover, which we're going to use by taking off, these 2 screws here. Let me get down a little bit closer so you can see. Okay, there we go. There's our ejection port. Set it up there with its 2 screws. Now the next thing we need to do is take off the selector lever here, the fire selector lever, or the safety. And there's 2 screws for that. There's one on this side, one on this side. You need to make sure that you are careful when you take these off because they're super easy to lose. They just take another Allen key as well. Now you have these 3 screws on the top that need to come out. The ones on this one that I'm working on right now are different sizes, but yours should all be the same size, unless you've done the screw mod. Okay. Final screws coming out here. There we go. So you can see the difference here in the sizes between the standard and the screw mod size one. However, if you are using any kind of modified trigger, don't use one of these. It will cause the trigger to malfunction. Okay, so now that we've got our screws out, the trigger should be free from the upper to be able to be removed. So let's go ahead and go down here and just slide it forward and out. And there is your trigger assembly. So we have one empty upper and one trigger assembly. Now that we have our trigger assembly out, you just follow these steps exactly in reverse to put it back together. So I'm actually taking this trigger and I'm swapping it for the trigger that's in this new hinged upper that we got. So I'm going to follow the exact same steps here to take the trigger out of the next one. There are models of this that have a screw in the front, so make sure that you check your rail. I think it's the Gen 1s that have a screw hole right here that you may need to take out. You can see that in the uppers they still kept the hole, but they got rid of the screw in the rails. But just be aware of that. Start by punching out the pin. Now this one's being kind of stiff because it's new. So I'm going to take the soft side of my mallet here and give it a couple taps and see if that doesn't encourage it to come loose a little bit. Now we just have the 3 screws on the top to deal with here. Now these ones, because this is new, should have all the same size screws. Okay. Now our trigger assembly is loose here. There we go. Beautiful. I love it. So now this fire control group over here goes all with these parts. There's that pin. Put my keys over here. Now let's take this hinged upper here and put the other fire control group here into that one. So reassembly, fairly straightforward. You just reverse the steps that you just previously did. So we're going trigger in just like that. So these are all standard screws. So we're going to make sure that this is seated in there. You can see that the safety lines up there. Also, you want to make sure that the retaining pin up here fits nicely. So that is the trigger installed here. Got to make sure these are all flush because your rail has to fit over top of that. The next you can put on the safety or the mag, or I'm sorry, the ejection port cover. Let's go ahead and do that. There. Now that's been replaced. Let's go ahead and do our selector levers. And you can see that these do have a direction, right? So this one is shaped to where you're kind of like doing like that. So this would go here. And be very careful when you're doing this because it's easy when you're screwing these on, for example, to tighten these down, put it on fire, squeeze the trigger, and then cause your hammer here to drop and damage your cover there, or your ejection port. So be careful and make sure that you keep it on safe. Okay, now that we've got that reinstalled, now we have to put our rail back on. Let's go ahead and put the rail on. Starting from the front, you can see that there is a beveled side and a flat side. Flat side goes front, beveled side goes back. So you just line that up with your channel right here. It's hard to do. I'm looking at it through the camera. There we go. Yeah, just like that. And then this will come back until it's flush. And you should see, well, this is really tight, so let me go ahead and push down. And you should see that it lines up, or that hole lines up. You see that this is not quite flush, and that hole is not see-through there. You can't see through that yet, so let's make it a little more flush. Just pushing it down on the table. There we go. You can see right through that. It means it's ready to be seated. So I got a smaller one. Will this fit? Yeah. We got our roll pin starter here. Place it in the hole. Careful not to scratch up the frame too much. And then we're going to start it with the hammer here, the mallet. There we go. And you can see that we just barely got it set, so let's go ahead and run that down. Not too far because I don't want this to catch on the frame. And then once it's nice and firmly in there, we'll switch to our roll pin punch and gently punch it in the rest of the way until it's flush. There we go. Everything's back into place. Let's reassemble. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one after I find the roll pin. All right. Thanks, you guys.